electric vehicles, they're everywhere these days, aren't they?
It feels like it, that's for sure. It's not just a passing fad, though, is it?
No, it's a real shift.
It is.
And the demand for those batteries, well, it's only going one way, isn't it, up?
Absolutely. Skyrocketing. McKinsey's forecasting it to hit 4.7 terawatt hours by 2030. That's up from just 700 gigawatt hours back in 2022.
Yeah, and it's not just, we all think about EVs when we hear about batteries, but it's not just cars, is it?
No, not at all.
It's everything. Think about your appliances at home. Drones, they use batteries. Grid storage as well.
It is. It's a revolution, All of these things are switching over to battery power.
It is. It is. And it makes you think, what is the environmental impact of all of this? Are we solving one problem, moving away from fossil fuels, but creating another?
Yeah, I think that's a great question to ask, a really important question. We're kind of diving into the full life cycle, aren't we?
Exactly. And that's what we're looking at today. We're doing a deep dive into EV batteries and, the environmental impact, specifically forever chemicals.
Ah, yes. The PFAS issue.
Yes.
A big one.
Yeah. And we've been looking at some research on how we can, create these batteries without those harmful substances. We've got a great article here from InsideEves.com, which has been really helpful for this.
Fantastic resource.
Yeah. So, maybe for anyone who hasn't heard of forever chemicals before, can you just give us a little bit of a breakdown on what they are?
Sure. So forever chemicals, the kind of catchy name, isn't it? But it refers to this group of chemicals, PFAS. That's PFAS,
Jeez.
which stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. And they're basically this really large group of man-made chemicals that are used in a ton of everyday products.
That's what's surprising to me,
Yeah.
right? You think about it, and it's the non-stick coating on your pans. It's the, stain-resistant coating on your clothes.
Yeah, water repellent sprays, firefighting foam even.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It is. It's a big family of chemicals. But the issue really is in that name, forever chemicals.
Yeah, the forever part.
The forever part, they don't really break down in the environment, do they?
No.
They're incredibly persistent, and that's what makes them a concern. And on top of that, they've also been linked to some pretty significant health concerns. The EPA has flagged developmental effects in children, reproductive issues in women. So, not the kind of thing you want hanging around in the environment or in your body, really.
No, definitely not. And especially if they're in, something like EV batteries, which we're going to be using a lot more of, right?
Yeah, and that's what makes this research so important, looking at ways to move away from them.
So in EV batteries, where are these PFAS chemicals found and what do they actually do? Why are they there in the first place?
Well, they're kind of in two key parts of the battery, the cathode and the electrolyte. The cathode, that's one of the terminals where the electrons flow in and out. And then the electrolyte, that's the medium that kind of allows those ions to move around within the battery. So they're both really important.
Yeah.
The PFAS, what they're doing is helping to maintain the internal structure of the battery.
Okay.
They're kind of like the scaffolding, if you will, helping these components to stay stable. And that's really important because a battery goes through a lot of stress, doesn't it? It's constantly charging and discharging, and these chemicals help those components kind of withstand that stress. Now, in the cathode, for example, PFAS coatings, they help bind the materials together, and they help prevent them from degrading, because that happens over time. And then in the electrolyte, some of the PFAS compounds help with the stability and the conductivity of the liquid, how well it conducts electricity. So they're kind of playing this really important role in maintaining the overall performance of the battery.
Okay, so they're there for a reason.
Yeah, they are.
But, if they're so useful and we need them for the battery to work, why is everyone so worried about them?
It really comes down to what happens at the end of the battery's life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're talking about, millions upon millions of EV batteries that are going to need to be retired at some point. And if they aren't disposed of properly, we've got a problem.
Yeah, big problem.
A huge problem. Because there's a risk then that these forever chemicals can leach out.
Into the environment.
Exactly, into the soil, into the groundwater. And because they don't break down, they can basically hang around there indefinitely, can't they?
Yeah.
Which means they can then potentially contaminate our food and water supplies.
And then enter our bodies, which is what we were talking about before.
Exactly. A kind of a domino effect, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So you've got this huge environmental risk. And then on top of that, you've got this problem that, consumer demand is constantly pushing for better performance.
Oh, yeah, we want everything, don't we?
Yeah, of course. We want our EVs to handle extreme temperatures, to be able to charge quickly. And there's a lot of research going on now into more advanced batteries, like lithium metal batteries.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that in order to achieve those kind of performance goals, well, the trend is actually to incorporate even more of these fluorinated compounds, including PFAS, into the electrolyte.
Oh, really? So it's going in the wrong direction almost.
Yeah, it's not going to go away on its own, is it? It's
Yeah.
something we need to actively address.
Yeah. So, it's this race for better performance, but we might be overlooking, I guess, the pit stops along the way and what happens at the end of the race when the battery, no longer works.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about this research from the University of Chicago.
Yeah.
What are they doing that's different?
Well, what's interesting is they're not just trying to manage the risks associated with PFAS. They're kind of aiming to eliminate them altogether. So their focus is on developing a new type of electrolyte that doesn't rely on these chemicals at all. And they're calling it a non-fluorinated solvent.
Hmm.
So it's this solvent that can do the job. It can facilitate those ion transports, but it does it without any PFAS.
Okay, so it's a completely different approach. But,
Yeah.
we were talking before about how, we need these chemicals for performance.
Yeah.
So how can they get the same level of performance without them?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's really what their research is focused on. And they're arguing that having PFAS in the cathode and the electrolyte isn't actually essential for good performance. They believe that they've found a way to kind of get around that to achieve, similar, if not better results without those substances.
Oh, okay. So what are they actually seeing in the lab? What can these PFAS-free batteries do?
Well, one of the things that they've observed is that the PFAS-free cells actually show improved ion pairing. So basically the ions, those are like the little messengers carrying energy in the battery, and with better pairing, they can work together more efficiently. So what that means for you and me is potentially longer driving ranges without needing a bigger battery.
Okay, yeah, longer range is definitely top of the list, isn't it?
Hmm.
When people are thinking about getting an EV, that's one of the main things they're concerned about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else did they see? Anything else?
They also found that the batteries had a much better ability to withstand extreme temperatures. And that's another big concern with EVs, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, especially in certain climates.
Mm.
It gets really cold or really hot, and people notice that their battery performance dips, and they don't get the range that they're expecting.
Exactly, yeah. But in the lab, these PFAS-free cells, they were stable across a range of temperatures from, 60 degrees Fahrenheit down to miniature 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So that suggests that these batteries could be a lot more reliable in those challenging conditions.
That's impressive. And what about the lifespan? How long they're going to last? Did they look at that?
Yes, they did, and that's another really promising finding. The PFAS-free cells actually showed better capacity retention. What that means is that the battery is likely to degrade less over time. So not only would it have a longer lifespan, but it would also maintain its performance better over that lifespan. So less drop-off in range and power over time.
So it sounds like it's better on every level, really.
Yeah, I mean, the early results are very promising, aren't they?
Yeah. But this is all still in the lab, right? It's not like we can go out and buy one of these batteries right now.
No, you're absolutely right. This is still very much in the research phase. It's a proof of concept. It needs further development before it can be scaled up for mass production.
Okay.
But what it does show is that we don't have to settle for these, harmful chemicals to achieve good performance. We can design batteries with the environment in mind from the get-go.
Yeah. And it feels like it's come at the right time, hasn't it? Because, by the end of the decade, we're going to have all these EV batteries that are going to be coming to the end of their life.
Yeah, millions of them.
Millions. And if we don't have, better solutions by then, we're going to have a real problem.
Yeah, a real environmental challenge.
Yeah. Do you think that in the rush to get EVs on the road to kind of solve that emissions problem, maybe we overlooked some of these longer term impacts?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, there was a real emphasis on speed.
Yeah.
Move fast and break things mentality, maybe. And the focus was very much on reducing tailpipe emissions.
Yeah.
So maybe the full environmental impact of certain components wasn't fully appreciated at the time.
It's like we focus so much on that one problem that we might have created another one further down the line.
Potentially, yeah. But the good news is awareness is growing. People are thinking about these things now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more pressure for more sustainable solutions.
Mm.
So hopefully between regulations, stricter regulations on these harmful chemicals and research breakthroughs like this, we can kind of steer battery development in a much more environmentally sound direction.
So it sounds like, a cleaner, greener future for electric vehicles is possible.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's exciting is that these lab results are showing that we can actually get better performance without relying on these harmful chemicals. So it's not like we have to compromise on anything.
Yeah, that's what's really promising, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a win-win.
So for you listening out there, it's really something to think about. As we move towards this more electric future, how can we all make sure that innovation, it prioritizes both performance and the health of the planet and ourselves?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think it's a question for all of us, as consumers, as citizens. What are the choices we make?
Yeah.
What are the demands we place on these technologies?
Yeah. And if you want to hear more deep dives into topics like this, make sure you hit subscribe to the channel. We're always exploring the latest research and trying to break down these complex issues.
We're here to help you make sense of it all.
Exactly.